Hello and welcome to By the Mash Tun, a podcast by a couple of nerds where we brew some beer, drink some beer, and then, just have a little chat or something about some beer or something. I don't know. Hello.
Hello. Who are you?
Who am I? I'm Mike Harrison-Wood. Who are you?
I'm Carl Noble.
Hello, Carl Noble.
I'm looking at that bread on the table.
Oh, we've got some treats for us.
We have got treats for us. Not only beer, but bread this time.
Yeah.
Why is there bread on the table, Mike?
There is bread on the table because of what we are brewing today.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that is?
That is a style called Kettle Sour.
Oh, interesting. Okay,
Yes.
so I'm guessing that is souring in the kettle then.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a twist on the style of the Kettle Sours. I'll get into that later, and that does describe why the bread's here. But
Yes.
yeah, it's not just for treats.
It's not just treats, but it is also slightly for treats because it's quite early in the day. I haven't had any breakfast yet.
No.
And we're going to be drinking beer later.
Yeah.
So that'll be good.
Yes. So, have you been doing any drinking around the place?
Not a large amount because I'm getting quite heavily into my training at the moment for my upcoming race. So unfortunately, my fun drinking, and not that obviously just us drinking during the podcast isn't fun, but I haven't been actively seeking nights out, as it were. And
I did see you at that Reading Beer Festival, though.
well, yeah, but that was more of a for professional reasons. I was there judging. So, yeah, it wasn't that I was getting to drink a load of beer that I knew I wanted to drink. It was just drinking a load of beers that I didn't know what they were and then trying to give some level of opinion on them. But you were also there.
I was. I had a much better category than you. You look like you had the real sort of twig water stuff.
It wasn't a bad category, actually, because it wasn't. They didn't set it out like, you're doing bitters, you're doing milds, you're doing pale ales. Our category was 4.2 to 4.9 percentage wise. So it was local beers that had been entered into the competition between 4.2 and 4.9%. So we had a whole range. We did have a lot of bitters though.
See, I think I was in a very similar category. I was told it was mid-range, not the exact range. But we had so many more pales than you. A lot of very nice, crisp, hoppy, delicious beers. Some of which I think I recognised, and then looking at the results later, it's possible that I had done.
Yes.
But we'll get into them when we study that style.
Yeah,
later.
It was fun nonetheless. I did really enjoy it, and I was drinking a load of beers that I probably wouldn't order like across a bar. But it was nice to try and take an objective view of the beer while tasting it, rather than going, oh, well, I don't really like the style, so I don't think it's very good. But
yeah, on the whole, I much prefer going on that trade day, sort of judging day for the beer festival, because all the brewers are there, all the people that work for the breweries that you come to know over the years doing this type of thing. And it's just a nice drink with some friends.
Well, that's it, and you also get to chat to them. And unfortunately, we didn't get any interviews.
No.
But I mean, to be honest, like after the judging side of things, I just wanted to have a nice drink and sit in the sun. I didn't even stay that long afterwards. I ended up going home. I think I ended up going out for a run afterwards anyway.
Yeah,
so. Sounds
sensible.
Yeah, I mean, I try to do it every now and again, be sensible. Because I do enough of not being sensible. So, yeah, I think on that note, we should move along.
Let's talk about what we're brewing today.
Yes, let's talk. So we're brewing in your house.
Yes.
I've forgot some key things for the podcast, such as clamps for the mic stands and stuff. But, here we are. The mash is on.
Yeah.
And, if you want to talk us through, the beer and the recipe and all that.
Well, first of all, I should go into a little bit of detail about just what a kettle sour is. You touched on very briefly that it basically sours in the kettle, the kettle being another word for the vessel with which you boil the beer.
Yeah.
It's part of the sanitation process, but it also develops a lot of... It's where you do the hop additions, it gets rid of certain off flavors, blah, 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 blah. There's lots of reasons for it. But the kettle sour process is actually very simple. You get to the point where you put the beer in the kettle.
Yeah.
So this is after you've mashed in. The grain's steeped. It's got all that sugar in that water. And then you put that in the kettle. And instead of boiling it, no, don't boil it. You add something else to it that has a certain bacterium called lactobacillus.
Okay.
Which encourages a sort of sour notes to come through, lactic acid specifically. And so if you inoculate with whatever you have, with whatever has that in, and then leave it for about 2 or 3 days, what you'll end up with is, a nice sourness. It doesn't taste much like beer, but it's got that lactic acid sourness. Okay. Then you basically just press resume on the brewing process. Yeah. You boil it as if nothing changed. You add the hops.
It's just 3 days later.
Yes, you chuck it in the fermenter with normal ale yeast, and it just finishes that last little bit. And so you get that really nice, crisp, sour flavor with more of a basic beer undertone.
Okay. So what's the advantage to doing that rather than souring like after fermentation, so just aging it?
Time is the big one. So obviously 3 days, that sucks. Ooh. But to do a lambic beer, like a proper wild aged beer, takes upwards of 2 years to fully get there.
3 days, 2 years, 3 years. Yeah, okay.
You lose out on some of that complexity, obviously, but you get a really crisp, clean sourness because of it. It's not bogged down with sort of delicious 3-dimensional flavors coming at you. It's more just, here's some nice things.
So I suppose the risk of infection to future beers is also reduced as well, because you're actually, once you resume the boil, you're actually sterilizing at that point. So your kettle is then sterilized, as opposed to if you sour in a fermenter, you probably ain't going to want to use that fermenter for anything else.
If you're homebrewing, you're not going to be boiling your fermenters.
No. Well, I mean, I think mine would melt, maybe.
Exactly.
Actually, no, I think the fermenter will probably be okay in boiling water, but I'm still not going to go do it.
Yeah. So, the beauty of it not touching anything else either, it's only the kettle, no other kit you have to sanitize extra.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they like the kettle sanitizer every time you use it, so...
Yeah, and that's the point.
Yeah.
Well, it's one of the points of it.
It is, yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, before I move on, I should point out the inoculation part.
Yes.
There are multiple things you can add to it. The most common ones for homebrewers is literally just yogurt. You take a bit of a yogurt, a live yogurt, not a
bit
dead,
of a yogurt.
Bit of a yogurt, and you just chuck it in, because turns out yogurt is quite high in lactobacillus. That's what makes it. That's what turns it from milk into yogurt.
Into a yogurty sort of thing.
If you're doing on a higher scale, you can talk to your sort of yeast providers, and they'll probably be able to give you a pure sample of lactobacillus that's just been cultivated to be literally just that and nothing else. As a home brewer, I find I've got a personal feeling that I want all of my beers to be vegan.
Yes,
at all times.
I wholeheartedly agree that. Like, I normally go for that, which is why I don't fine or anything like that.
Exactly, and so the drawbacks of using yogurt are pretty high, because then that means that my beer is no longer vegan.
Yes.
I can't share it around with all my friends.
Yeah.
What I've done then is basically done a sourdough starter.
Okay.
That I've had for a year or two.
Yeah.
I use for making bread. And turns out lactobacillus is also in sourdough starters.
There you go.
As well as lots of other stuff.
Yeah.
So you've got a much bigger biodiversity in sourdough.
Yeah.
Leading to maybe a bit more complexity.
Okay.
So
I can see that, because you're not just putting in the lactobacillus, you're putting in some various other little bits.
Yeah. They'll eat some of the things. They'll produce other flavors.
Yeah.
Will it be nice? Who knows?
Well, that's it. But I'm guessing that explains why we've got bread on the table.
Yeah,
because I'm guessing that's the sourdough.
This is some bread that I baked this morning.
Yeah.
With that very same sourdough starter.
Okay.
So I'm going to tuck in.
Yeah, I'll talk about how I think you're experiencing it. Oh, he seems to be enjoying it. It sounds crunchy.
Oh, wow.
Is it sour? I'm guessing not that good. Your face hasn't turned inside out, so that's a start.
Sourdough's very rarely like actively sour, like not like a
No.
like a sour beer is sour.
No.
It's just more sour than normal bread,
Yes,
which is none at all.
But I find this kind of odd that you're making a sour beer considering you don't like sour beers.
Yes.
You might want to explain yourself.
My wonderful wife, Rachael Harrison-Wood, is a massive fan of sour beers.
Right, okay.
And she will drink it. So I'm making it.
Yeah, so you're not doing it for yourself, you're doing it for your loved one.
No, it's a selfless act.
I don't think it's selfless. I think you'll get something in return at least.
Yes, knowledge.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it. It's fun to experiment with styles that you don't normally drink yourself. So, a little while back I ended up doing a lager just because I was like, well, let's see how that goes. And it's nice to experiment. That's the great thing about homebrewing is you have the ability to go, well, this isn't really a style I know much about. Let's do the research and then give it a go. And the good thing is, if it turns out not very good, you haven't got a lot to either A, drink, or B, throw away.
Exactly.
And or try and palm off on someone.
There'll be someone who likes it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And now, you're a massive fan of lager.
Yeah, well, that's it. I at some point will brew a lager and we will talk about it, and then I can go more in depth into why I find the lager style quite interesting. But I think at the moment, concentrating on the sourdough is probably going to be the best idea. Just for some level of continuity in the podcast, I think.
Well, I've had some. Okay.
I'm going to tuck in. You can take us through what the recipe is, if you wish.
Well, so sourdough starters are very easy to make. You just have... so he's really tucking in. He's got tough teeth. Teeth? They're really easy to make. You get some flour, preferably whole grain, chunky stuff. A lot of people use spelt for the first couple of things, and some water, and you leave it open, and then it catches air. Well, it catches all these wild things in the air that land in the sourdough, and eventually it will start to bubble. It will start to smell very nice. It will start to have a very slightly sharp flavour.
It's very nice, by the way.
Hey.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
I do like sourdough though.
Yes.
So what's your grain profile for the just the base before you're going to be putting the sourdough in?
Yes. So it's a little bit of a pancake beer. I'll be honest. And for those who don't know, pancake beer it's just what you've got left after because you never buy exactly the right amount, obviously, and well, you're not if you're as disorganized as me. But it means that every now and again you get to just brew something with what you've got left over. And so in this case, there's a little bit of Marisota, as it's not even the base malt. The base malt, and by a much larger percentage, is actually wheat malt. So it is going to be a bit more wheaty than maybe that will give some sort of banana-y sort of sweetness to it.
It looked like malted wheat as opposed to flaked wheat as well.
Yeah, it is malted wheat. And then there's just a little bit, I have some sort of malted oats that are still in their husks, which hopefully will prevent this horrible thing happening called a stuck sparge.
Okay.
That is a bit, it happens a bit with wheat beers, is that they get a bit sort of sticky, clammy little...
Yeah, so like, as it's mashing, it goes real sort of soft and porridge-like, which stops that water, draining through it as easily. So you can end up with a load of water sat on top, and you're trying to drain out into your kettle, and it goes nowhere.
Yeah,
I've only ever had this once, and it's worrying when it happens because you're like, well, I don't know what to do now. I've just got a load of hot water, which I can't really touch because it's so hot, and I've got to try and do something about it. But we got it fixed in the end.
Yeah.
Use
a stick.
Yeah, well, that's it. You end up just having to kind of break the grain bread apart, which isn't ideal, but if that's what you've got to do to get the water through, then that's what you've got to do. But you're saying you use the oat husks as a good way of kind of separating out because they...
Anything that's just fibre, basically. Yeah. Just fibre, nothing else.
Yeah, so I think rice hulls is one thing you can use.
Are they called hulls?
I believe so, yeah.
Oh, that's nuts. I love that. Well, it's not nuts.
I'm
it's
sure
rice.
It is, yeah. But I just have a bag of oat husks.
Yeah.
Like
Just the husks.
just husks. So
Wow.
so I've bought them separately, just as husks, and you just bang them in, so they don't have any sugar in them. They don't have anything, so they will not mash. Like they are there just as a mechanical aid, or a non-mechanical aid, I guess, just to help, break apart the grain bed.
Yeah.
So when it sits, there's still loads of little holes it can worm its way through,
Lovely.
which works out quite well.
Delicious holes.
Yeah. So
Wait.
I mean, like, all right.
I was talking about beer.
I think we'll leave that there.
Yeah.
So obviously we're not going to be doing any hop additions today.
Not today.
That's going to be happening
In 3 days' time.
In 3 days' time.
Yep.
But I do believe you know what hops you're going to be putting in anywhere.
Following the pancake theme, I've got some Mandarina Bavaria that's notorious for predictably tasting sort of mandarin-y.
And
sort of
Bavaria?
Bavarian. I think that's where it's grown.
Go and lick Bavarian, see what it tastes like.
Husky. No, musky? No, I don't know. I've also got some Summit that will follow that sort of orangey citrus vibe.
Yeah.
And then I've got some Dana that might be nice. I don't
So
know.
are you aiming for the citrus vibes because it's got that tartness to it? The beer's got a tartness, so it's gonna. Do you think that will lend itself well to citrusy based flavor profile?
It's also what I've got left.
Okay, here's me trying to give you some
Yes, but
confidence.
that too.
It's
That
like
too.
yes, I've really thought about this flavor profile
Yes.
so much. Yeah.
Well, sour
it's also
and
what I've got left.
sour and orange go together fairly
Yes,
well.
yeah.
I know sour and bitter and orange, go together very well.
Yes.
But sort of tangerine sour.
Yeah.
Might be
No, I
incredibly
can
pleasant.
see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that is quite good. I like the sound of the recipe. I
Yeah.
like the
And I'm just going to be using USO5 as well
nice
in 3
clean
days.
fermentation.
Yeah, as crisp
Like,
as possible.
Yeah. So you're not looking for any sort of like big yeasty flavors.
Oh
or
no.
anything like that.
No.
No, I can't imagine that would work out very well. Actually,
Something that would distract? No.
no. I do like the idea of like kind of pancake beers where you are just using up what you've got left.
Yeah.
Because
Zero waste. No,
yeah, well,
that's
but like as a homebrew, you do end up with just bits of grain kicking about here and there, and you can quite easily make something out of the grain you've got kicking about, and the hops you've got lying about as well. Although I don't tend to have that many hops just lying about.
Yeah.
Because they're not cheap.
I tend to overbuy and go, yeah, but it's nice to have the wiggle room to use an extra bag if I want.
Yeah.
And then they just sit in my box for 6 months, and then
and
I feel I have to use them.
Yeah, and then you do inevitably. Okay, well that's the recipe. There's the reasons for why you're doing all your things.
Yes. Yeah, I have heard on Cal's phone grapevine that Omnipollo are doing a... Are you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's Omnipollo. You never know.
It's going to be mental.
A burgers and fries beer.
What?
Yeah.
I've seen the picture, and it looks like just a load of burger and fries in... looks like they're mashed done.
It might be the mash tun. It might be the boil.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's just the top of a vessel.
Yeah.
So I do believe that's a nationwide release today, but not obviously UK nationwide release.
Yes, our episodes are on a bit of a lag, so it's probably already out by the time you're hearing this.
Yeah, but I think it's nationwide in Sweden.
Oh, nationwide in Sweden.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, I reckon we'll probably get it eventually. Probably by the time this podcast comes out.
All right, well, look out for it.
Yeah.
Burgers and fries.
Yeah, so is it the Omnipollo Himna Vanilla Flippin'?
Yes.
Burgers and fries IPA, 6%.
That's...
Burgers and fries. I don't know about this, man. Like,
yeah.
I trust Omnipollo because like their beers are just great. But burgers and fries?
Because you could mash in with potato, couldn't you?
You can mash anything. Like, whether you're not going to get anything fermentable out of it.
Yeah. I mean, you can mash potato, obviously.
Well, yeah, you can have mashed potato.
But because it's the boiling process, I believe, in the potatoes that breaks down the starch into sugars. Maybe. Yeah. Am I remembering that right? So as long as they're boiled potatoes and then you mash in with them.
Yeah.
Because they don't have the enzymes.
Do you want to give it a go?
No. Not today.
Do you want to do
Not today.
Mashed potato beer?
I will drink a bottle of that beer first and then I will decide.
Yeah, because that's it. Like, I mean, I've seen bacon beer. I've seen donut beer. I've seen all sorts. I did see something pop up on social media about a week ago, and it was a company had made a beer which was then used to make donuts, which was then used to make a donut burger. Or something. It was something along those lines where it was just really convoluted, and it was just like I don't understand what's going on. So he ended up with a beer made from donuts, but then that beer was then used for making the batter to make other donuts, which were then used to make vegan burger buns.
Multi-layered.
It's crazy, man. It's crazy. But that's that. I mean, there is a lot more beer news out there, I'd imagine, but that was the one that stood out to me as being the thing I wanted to talk about because it's weird.
Talking of beers,
go on then.
Should we try a beer?
I think it's probably round about that time.
Okay. So what have we got first then, Cal?
Well, it looks like a can of Framboozey.
Framboozey by Tiny Rebel.
Tiny Rebel. I do like their logo of the little bear in a hoodie.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I think it's good.
We also have with us our resident sour tasting expert, my wonderful wife, Rachael Harrison-Wood.
Hello.
Hi.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Literally resident because we're recording it in our house.
Exactly.
Which is nice.
So this is actually your house. This is real good. So you like and drink a lot of sour beer, by all accounts?
I mean, if my mum's listening, not a lot. But I do like a sour beer.
Okay, every now and again. Yeah.
Every other day or so.
Yeah, I mean, in all fairness, it's
after 12.
It's 1:15 in the afternoon, so this is perfectly acceptable to be drinking beer right now, I think.
Yeah.
Especially for the purposes of a podcast.
It's arguably his education.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm a teacher. I'm giving back to the children.
I'm hoping to learn a lot.
Over 18 children.
So we've got Framboozey, which I'm guessing you've had before, because I've definitely had it before.
Yes.
And I mean,
we had this at the wedding?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did literally have this beer at our wedding.
Well, there you go. I think I remember it.
Yes.
Parts of it. I remember parts of the wedding. It was very good.
Yeah.
Well done.
Thanks.
So the beer itself, this one is kettle soured, I believe.
Yes, it's a raspberry kettle sour.
Okay.
So since they're a bigger brewery, I doubt they inoculate with yogurt. I presume they've just got a isolated strain of lactobacillus.
And they just jam that in.
They just jam that in. And then at some point they also jam in lots of raspberries.
I mean, you can tell that by the look of it. It is very red.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
I think raspberries is a classic choice as well. There's a tradition in Belgium with the lambic sours to add specifically cherry or raspberries and sometimes strawberries to them. Yeah. So there is that tradition of a raspberry sour.
Okay. So
I think raspberries just have that natural sharpness anyway to them, so it just lends itself to a sour beer really well.
Yes, yeah.
And they're much nicer than cherries.
They are definitely just better than cherries, in all fairness.
Yes.
Well, that's my personal opinion, but here it is, and I think we're all in agreement.
So what does it taste like?
Well, that's a good point. I'm going to have a little try. Rachel, have you had a try of yours?
I have had a try. It tastes like raspberries, which is a good shout for a raspberry sour. It's also very sour, shockingly enough, to the extent that Framboozey does taste a little bit like we've had some flavoured vinegars in the resident's house. A little bit like that, but much more refreshing and pleasant. I know Mike just hates anything sour, sweets, beer, some strawberries because they are too sour.
Right.
But for me, sour beers are just super refreshing and delicious, and so I think Framboozey is a really lovely example of that, and I would encourage anyone to try it personally. Yeah,
I've had a little try of it just there. I have tried it before. I've got bottles of it in the house. The bottles do taste different to what's in the can, though.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. It is odd. I should have probably brought one up so we could have done a direct comparison, but I've got to drive back. So,
what would you say is the main difference then?
I think it tastes a bit danker out of the bottle. Personally, I think it's a lot sharper and a lot crisper out of a can than it is out of a bottle. I don't know whether or not that was just the batch of bottles that I had, or whether or not that is just the case throughout. I don't know. But yeah, like that, I find that very nice, very refreshing. That sourness is just brilliant on hot days. If you get yourself a nice cold sour, it's amazing. And what's interesting is as it warms up in the glass, the flavor profile slightly changes, so you get a nice little adventure as it warms up. It's not something that you just need to down it when it's cold. Like I think they work, as it starts warming up as well.
Yeah, definitely. If you left it for half an hour, sort of wandered off, did something else, you could very easily come back to it. And there's a lot of beers where you shouldn't.
Yes,
not least because the cats might have been at them.
Well, exactly. But I think it's the sourness really lends that because you get a lot of the refreshingness from that sour end of things. It would be interesting to find out what it is they do sour with, because I do believe this is a vegan friendly beer.
Yeah, which makes me make the assumption that they've inoculated with a single strain.
Just a straight strain. Okay, I mean it is very nice, and I think out of the short term souring, so the kettle souring side of things, I'd put this pretty high up on my list of favorite beers. I'd say.
Ooh, favorite.
Well,
wow.
For the kettle soured end of things, I think. Yeah. I mean, obviously, I do like a really nice lambic. Something that's just got that age behind it. But as you say, it's really difficult for breweries to push that sort of thing out without having invested a lot of time in it.
Yeah, and space.
And space. Time and space. Like some sort of continuum.
Exactly. Should we have another one?
I think that's not a bad idea, yeah. Okay, so what have we got here then?
We have from North Brewing Company, Volta, which is a blood orange and rhubarb sour.
Oh, that sounds good.
At 4.1%.
Oh, nice.
I like.
Yeah, I like the idea of rhubarb in there, because like rhubarb in a sour it should just fit so perfectly.
And the rhubarb's definitely quite strong on the aroma as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it smells like a rhubarb crumble a bit, which
oh, it does, doesn't it?
I'm into. Yeah.
Wow, that is interesting. I wonder if it tastes like a rhubarb crumble. I don't know how. I mean, they could get that sweetness in there and slightly creaminess.
It doesn't have any of the kind of biscuity, oaty bits that you would expect from a crumble.
Okay,
but that is actually really nice.
Yeah, that orange is.
Just sneaking into the side there.
Technical review term there. Yeah, very rhubarb, I would say. Very orange, actually, which is nice, because blood orange can be... I mean, you've got Bloody L, which does a really good job of getting blood orange flavour everywhere, but other...
blood orange flavour
just everywhere. It's a disaster.
Yeah, on your shoe.
Yeah. But sometimes if you put it in with other stuff, I've eaten a lot of blood oranges in the last 4 weeks. If you put it in with other stuff, then you don't always get the flavour through.
No.
But I think that's really nicely balanced.
Yeah, so I've just had a little try of it, and that's beautiful. That is just so well done. The blood orange is there, the rhubarb is there, and the sourness, it complements it really well. But it's not... I don't think it's as sour as the Framboozey.
No, definitely.
It's definitely a much sweeter... a much sweeter
just
beer.
Probably the orangey edge.
And I think it works really well. And for the percentage, like it's got real good strong flavour throughout. You don't lose anything. It doesn't feel thin or watery or anything like that.
No,
and
it's
it
really
looks
nice.
fantastic. Like quite hazy, which is I always take that as being good. I do like to see a nice hazy beer.
Although interestingly, not at all pink, which you would kind of expect a blush edge to a rhubarb beer.
Yeah.
But it's almost like a sort of a hazy, like a wheat beer kind of looking.
Yeah.
Almost.
If someone was to hand me that and go, "Oh, it's a wheat beer," like just based on the look, I'd be like, yeah, okay, no, that seems about right. But as soon as you taste it, it's just like, oh god, world of flavours going on there, which is really good.
Yeah. As for the sourness itself, there's no indication exactly what they've done to achieve that. The only indication I see is that on the can it does say that it's suitable for vegans, which means if it is a kettle sour, it's been inoculated with a single strain.
Yes, yeah. So they probably haven't went through the effort of baking a bread and jamming in a load of dough. But
no, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Or well, it works. So.
Well, that's it. I do wonder whether or not there is a commercial example of a sourdough bread out there, whether or not somebody has actually just done that.
Yeah, Wild Beer Co. Have a...
Oh, they do, don't they? Yes.
It's just called sourdough.
Yeah.
The difference being is that they inoculate it with sourdough starter and then just allow it to fully ferment out.
Oh, wow.
So it's not your sort of kettle sour with a sourdough. It's full on aged.
So they've went through the normal brewing process of boiling, doing the hopping, and then they've put the sourdough starter in as their yeast, essentially.
Yeah. And it's very nice.
Yes, yeah, I do believe I have had it before. But yeah, it's an interesting idea because like you can essentially inoculate with any strain of yeast. I guess it's whether or not it's going to come out good or not. I have heard some dubious yeast strains being used.
Have you heard of the story about the cat one, the cat beer?
No.
It was someone on the internet. I saw got all the way through the brew day up to the point where they were just about to pitch when the cat panicked and fell in the mash tun. Not in the mash tun, sorry, in the fermenter. Right. So it was the body.
Alive.
Yeah. It was cold enough it didn't damage the cat. The cat was obviously confused and afraid and made a massive mess. And the home brewer spent so long cleaning up after the cat, they then forgot to pitch their actual yeast in.
Right.
And left it. And so this beer was inoculated with wild cat yeast.
How was it?
I seem to remember, it was just a nice sort of weird, wildish ale.
So, you guys have cats. So if at any point you forget to buy yeast when you're brewing, maybe just dip a cat in.
Mm.
I think we should do it intentionally because we've got two. We have two cats, so you could make two different beers and see how different they are.
Yes, see which cat tastes better.
Science.
Yeah.
My money's on Hank.
Yeah, he's a bit more flavoursome.
He just looks more delicious.
Yeah.
Okay, I think on that note, it's probably time we go get another beer.
Yeah, okay.
Well, more beer then, is it?
Yes, it is.
What is it?
It is Wild Weather with their beer, Ask Me About Loom.
Ask Me About Loom.
Yeah, it's a Monkey Island reference.
Obviously.
Yeah, a lot of their beers are Monkey Island references.
That's a good game.
Well, yeah. It's a little bit stronger. It is 4.8%.
Yep.
And it is an orange and passion fruit sour.
Well, it is. It's definitely a lot darker. It's very similar in appearance to the Framboozey, but a lot clearer.
Yeah, definitely. It's got almost no haze.
Yeah.
That's a term.
No, it is. Yeah. It is a genuine term.
Which is, sort of neither here nor there for a sour, really.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. Well, it's still definitely got haze. It is not crystal clear.
No.
There's definitely some level of haze there, and I imagine that's because, it is just an unfined beer. But I do believe on the can it says that they use dried fruit rather than a fresh fruit, which would mean that Framboozey, if they're putting
a puree
that's going to add to the haze a lot. So it's going to make it look real dank, a lot like a New England pale ale.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, have you guys had a try of it yet?
I have. It's relatively sweet for a sour.
Yeah, it's lovely. I've drunk a lot of this in the last couple of weeks, so I'll drink some more. I'm happy.
You may as well.
It's that nice.
Oh,
yeah, you do get the passion fruit quite strongly. I'm not so sure about the orange. It's there, but it doesn't dominate as much as the lovely passion fruit.
It's tropical, isn't it? That is real taste. That sourness is. It's nice. It is subtle though. The sourness is very subtle.
I would say it was probably the least sour. If there's a measure of sourness. Yeah. Which is interesting because it's also the strongest. And I do have to wonder how they got dried passion fruit. Surely dried passion fruit is just seeds.
Let's get a passion fruit, and we will
just from our tropical fruit bowl.
Yeah. Why not? And we'll sit out in the sun for a little bit and see what happens. But yeah, I imagine it probably is ending up just like seeds with some sort of like green dried stuff around it,
like a membrane type thing.
Yeah, like green membrane.
I don't know how that
doesn't sound as nice, does it? If they wrote that in their can, they probably wouldn't sell as much.
Yeah, I'm curious. Like, it's an interested curiosity. It's not like a furious.
Well, I mean, well, they're not that far away.
Yeah, plus they drink at the pub all the time. We could just
exactly.
ask
We could
them.
probably just ask them, really.
Whoever sees them first. Just give them a quick ask.
Yeah.
Nice of you just to chime in there with your opinion there, Mike.
Yeah. No, I was reading the can for clues as to how they've made it sour, and it does in the ingredients just literally say lactic acid.
Okay, so this isn't a kettle sour.
No.
And it's not a lambic style wild fermented.
No.
Excuse me.
You can just buy lactic acid as an ingredient, just slop it in.
Yeah.
Mix
so this
it around.
is the one where they've made a whole beer. It's got all the way through, and then they've put in the lactic acid at the end.
So, I suppose that allows a lot more.
You've got more control about the flavour.
Yeah, because at that point you can go, okay, the beer tastes exactly the way I want it to now.
And now let's make it sour.
Let's jam some sour in.
Yeah.
Oh no, it needs, as long as you don't go too far. You know, let's put a bit in, give it a stir, have a try. I imagine it's probably much more complicated than that, but actually it's probably not. And then just until you hit the sourness that you want, then go, right, let's leave it at that. Because, I mean, that's the same with a lot of beers that use flavourings. I know cupcake flavourings are quite popular for adding flavourings into beer and stuff like that, because they are very intense flavours, so you don't need a lot.
Because you're not adding liquid to the liquid
exactly.
Then. Yeah, so you're not adding
and yeah, that way you can make the beer and then just start adding your flavourings in. Unlike in the beer news we were talking about earlier, where Omnipollo looked like they were mashing with burgers and fries. So,
oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, it looks like an interesting beer.
Yeah, I would try it.
Yeah, I mean, I'd give it a go.
And vanilla, I think they said.
Yes, yeah. There's some vanilla in there as well. I can't see it lending itself well to a sour style, which is good because it's not.
Sour
it's an IPA.
burger?
Oh, God.
Sour chips?
And mind you, if you had burger in a sourdough, if you had burger in a sourdough bun, that would be quite nice.
If you had burger in a sourdough bun, you would lose all your teeth.
That's a very good point. So yeah, all in all, I like this beer. It's really
what's
nice.
what's your favourite then?
Give us a second.
I feel terrible because I drink a lot of wild weather beers, I think, because they're often at the pub and they're also relatively local to us, so it's really easy to nip up and get a case of cans for like events. Yeah, we have like a party once a year for that.
It's an event.
And we got cans for the wedding and stuff like that, or bottles for the wedding. They do that really nice peach sour that I like. But I think my favourite out of these three is probably the North, because I haven't had it before, and it does have that very interesting, like, the rhubarb adds a tartness, which isn't sour, but it's not sweet or bitter. It's tart. It's different. It's a different flavour, and it's really hard to describe because I'm not you. So, This is where partnerships and marriages are excellent, because Mike can describe everything and I drink it.
It's a good balance you guys have got. But yeah, I would say that my favourite currently is going to be the one from North. Yeah. It just works really well. It's a very nice beer. The sourness is spot on. It's refreshing. It's real clean, and it has a real good aftertaste as well. Like, it just lingers in the mouth. It's really nice.
And I like that the aroma is very different to the flavour. Yes, good, very nice. But neither of them are syrupy. I find with some beers, especially in the aroma, certain fruit flavours can come off as a little bit sort of, that's just really sweet, syrupy fruit flavour. And this one doesn't have it at all. No. It's brilliant. Lovely.
Well, that's good. I'm very pleased with the beers that we've tried. We've had a good go at them all, I think.
Yes. I think there's only one more beer to try.
I think there is. That's the Wort, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
How's it tasting?
We'll find out in 3 days.
All right, that's from us. That's going to be goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.